Well, let me ask you a question that you mentioned all of this. What was you as you since you were close to John? I mean, I'm sure he probably had some things on his mind. What do you think one of his biggest regrets was?
John Gotti Sr.'s biggest regret was Sammy Gravano. That was the biggest mistake he made.
Really?
The
Wow.
biggest mistake. He knew it. Junior knew it. I knew it. Tommy Gambino knew it. And the skippers like Joe Butch from Teaminos. Joe
Joe
was a
Butch,
good friend.
yeah, I heard
The
Joe Butch.
best.
Yeah.
The best
I
guy.
heard he was, yeah, I heard he was a good guy too.
Good guy. And he gave me the best advice. He used to
Really?
give me he was like my guy I would go to when I was losing my mind.
What was one
Love
of the things he
John.
might have said to you if you can say it? I don't know, it's up to you.
I could say it.
Okay.
He would say, Lewis, get it done now. He's not going to be here forever. And don't be
Wow.
intimidated by these captains. And don't, you come to me. I'll tell you how to do it. See, the
Wow.
captains, you got to understand, these guys, they didn't want me going back to John putting them beefs in. That's what I
Oh,
had in my
sure.
favor,
Right.
and the fact that he issued direct orders to them regarding me.
Mhm.
I could go to a skipper. No, when associates can't go to skippers, I could go to a captain alone. I didn't need John's permission. I had his permission 24/7.
Mhm.
Never abused it, always respectful. There were times when I had to step it up, but I would go to
Right.
Joe Butch or I would go to Tommy. See, I
Uh,
would make Tommy. Tommy was the guy because Tommy needed me and I needed him.
okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It, it,
Well,
it, you know
I'm
what
going
I'm
to tell
saying?
you this one thing, Lewis. I was fortunate. I was able to go to my skipper. My skipper was Dominick Cicale, so I was able to actually call him. I was
But see,
close with him.
he was a good guy.
Yes,
You
yes,
see, he was
yes,
Sakali was a good guy.
yeah.
You have skippers that weren't good guys.
Oh, I know, I know. And I was so fortunate to have him, and everybody in his crew was fortunate to have him.
You
That's a
know,
good guy.
you look at me.
Yep.
I'm half Italian, half Jewish. My grandfather was around the Colombos, which John didn't know. And he laughed.
I
He
didn't
said, "Why
know
don't you
that.
tell me about your grandfather?"
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you think Jimmy Brown? I know Jimmy Brown, that Jew Cox. You think I know? John used to say, yeah, he's no fan of yours. I was no kid. But see, John would do that in front of them, and I would, yeah,
Yeah.
why are you doing that? And he would
He was.
laugh. But see, that he wanted them to know that
Mhm.
he knew. Don't mess with this kid. I
But John
know.
sounds John sounds like he was a down to earth type of guy, like more like realist and more
Listen,
in fantasy land.
restaurants never abused any. Wherever he went, you knew who he was. But he was just that way.
Mhm.
Listen, you didn't mess with him.
Yeah.
If he had something to say, he said it. If he was pissed, there had to be a reason. He was not a bully. See,
Right. Okay.
John Senior was not a bully.
Wow.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he did have a presence, though. The way he carried himself, the way he walked. Even the movie stars went to go his trial and everything too.
Listen, I'll never forget it. He was at Jilly Rizzo's place with
Hmm.
Frank Sinatra, and Frank Sinatra made like he didn't see him. Well, Joe Watts took care of that pretty quick.
Wow.
He picked up Frank Sinatra by the neck. Frank Sinatra was short, and you
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra's feet dangling on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Frank Sinatra, they said he had the connections with Carlo Gambino and stuff like that.
yeah. And remember, John didn't like Sinatra's music. He liked
Oh, he
Jimmy
didn't?
Roselli. Nah, he
I didn't
liked
know that.
Jimmy Roselli. We had
Roselli,
Jimmy
yeah.
Roselli at the wedding.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah, Jimmy
We had
Roselli.
him
Yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
wedding.
I knew
You
him too.
see,
Yeah,
and at the wedding, you got to understand. All through these years, Gravano hated me. I was
oh, he
making
did.
John. Yeah, I was making John too smart. I was making John too alert of what's going on in the family. Me and
Oh, okay.
Tommy. He went to John and says, "Listen, I think we got to kill Lewis and kill Tommy." Yeah,
Really?
I was on a visit in the MCC. I'll never forget it. And John says to me, "This is when it was getting bad between them." John says to me, that mud over there, that punk." And I look. He was pointing to Sammy. He wants to kill you and Tommy Gambino. Don't worry about it, though. He says, I told them they got to go and
Yeah.
buy a new Lincoln and make sure they put you in a new car at Kennedy Airport.
Oh, jeez.
So and Gravano knew what he was saying. See, Gravano didn't like it because I go on the visits at the Eastern District and I bring John the food, fresh socks, fresh clothes. None of Gravano's guys were doing anything for him.
Uh,
Louis wasn't doing anything for him. And I know how to maneuver. So I was getting into the holding pens.
nice.
With the food, with the breakfast.
Yeah.
Listen, John was treated the way he should have been treated. And I didn't
Yeah,
skip a
because the
beat.
prisons don't do anything for you.
I didn't skip a beat. We had everybody on the payroll at the MCC, all those old timers at the Eastern District. John was treated the way he should. And he used to love it. As soon as he saw me, his face lit up, because he knew,
Yeah.
he knew if anybody could do it, that kid could do it.
You want to know something? In one way, I'm kind of glad that he died, so this way he wouldn't spend the rest of his life like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he died a terrible death, Joe.
I'm so sad that he got like that. It's sad. You know what I mean?
He had head, neck, and throat cancer.
I know they told pictures of him.
And when he was in Marion was the bad place. Florence didn't exist then. ADX Florence, that Sammy brags about. So Marion was there.
Right.
They were giving him Tylenol.
That's it.
And they didn't call a doctor in at the beginning. They called in the undertaker, who happened to be the undertaker and the guy that used to give the medicine out at Marion.
Yeah, he needed morphine. He needed morphine.
He needed chemotherapy.
Yeah.
So they were giving him Tylenol.
What a tough bastard.
You got to understand this. In the history of the Bureau of Prisons, which is a corrupt agency on all levels from the top down, a dirty agency.
I agree.
We had a warden there by the name of Bill Hedrick. We had a concierge warden, Joe. He was John Gotti's warden from the time John Gotti which was a direct commit to Marion till the day John died in Springfield, Missouri. Have you ever heard of that before?
Never.
So I used to call Hedrick because I had people I had Senator Clinton was helping me, Congressman Rangel. I had everybody working. Everybody. I hired Charles Ogletree, the professor over at Harvard, who was helping.
You really cared about John?
That Attorney General you got to forgive me. I get these.
No, under Clinton.
Under Clinton.
Janice.
Not Reno, the black guy there.
I know who you talk about there too. Hold on, it'll come to me too. Wait, it's like one of those senior moments.
Right, me too. He was the Attorney General.
Okay.
And Ogletree.
Eric
Holder.
Eric Holder. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
And Ogletree was very close. It was that whole black mafia thing going on at Harvard University. And Ogletree loved John. And Ogletree used to go, really? I used to send Ogletree to go visit John on a private jet in Marion.
Oh, wow.
And he would stay there for hours with him.
Wow.
And Ogletree would call up the BOP, the director. I saw him, Kathleen Hawke Sawyer. He'd get her on the phone. You make sure this man gets this. You make sure. And she would do a little bit more. And then he would call up Eric Holder. Well, he was the AG. So we were doing everything, but it was nothing. It was not. Right. In fact, Ogletree got so frustrated. He used to give me Eric Holder's private phone number in Justice. And I would call him up. Mr. Attorney General, and we would do more things. And then finally, when Clinton was getting out, we were on a first name basis, Holder. He'd say, Lewis, I'm doing everything I can. This is a very political thing. By this time, He was shipped out into Springfield. And we did, it was too late. They cut half his tongue out. He was ridden with the cancer. But what I did do, I hired a guy by the name, Joe, of D. Wampler. And your viewers could look him up.
Yeah, because I never heard.
He was the premier attorney in Springfield, Missouri. Now, Springfield, Missouri didn't have a federal judge that sat. He had a magistrate.
Okay.
So I gave D. Wampler quite a sum of money. Legitimate check. I says, D, I want you to go before this magistrate and get John on a writ, get him into a private hospital in Springfield, Missouri. He says, Lewis, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something, Lewis, that you don't know. This magistrate and I were roommates in college.
Wow.
He says, I can't promise. I says, listen to me. I don't want no promises. I don't want no nonsense because you're going to wind up disbarred or in jail, and so will I. I want you to draw up the best legal papers you can and show what's going on.
Okay.
And he did. And this magistrate had the balls to sign a writ to have John Gotti immediately removed from Springfield and put into private hospital, the best
Wow.
private hospital in Springfield. Me, who
Wow.
they're all jealous of, and and his son talks bad about me, whatever, who didn't do a thing to lift a finger for his father, except go on a visit and tell his father, Dad, I need closure. Okay, I need closure. Give back the money if you want closure. How do you dare go see your father and tell him that? But okay, that's another story.
We'll get into that another time.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
That phony bullshit he pulled. But in any event, this judge had the decency and the temerity and the courage to take John out of custody and put him in there in a private hospital for 7 days. Showers, the best doctor treatment, heart doctor, cancer doctor, this, that, and the other
medication
thing.
to make him feel no
medication.
More pain. Good.
And let me tell you, Joe Barone, he had the best 7 days of his life.
Good.
Because of Louis Kasman. And I went up there and I tried to get him to see John because I figured now he's in a private hospital. I thought I was so smart. Little did I know, I walk into the hospital and I get onto the floor. And the floor's like they have an open area, no rooms. Everybody's open with curtains. And I got up there and he sees me, John, and his face lit up like $1 million. And all of a sudden, about a handful of these ninja warriors in black, dressed in black, jump on me and Uncle Pete, throw us to the ground. I mean, I was banged up. Pete was banged up. His bad eye almost came out of his head.
Wow.
And they lock us in a closet. Imagine being locked with Uncle Pete in a closet for 2 hours. Nothing worse than that. And then they open the door. I said, well, what's going on here? You don't belong. Why do I don't belong here? I'm not on. This is a private hospital. This is not your hospital anymore. Well, you're protecting. I said, you're protecting him? Who are you protecting him from?
Yeah,
from
right.
me? You're protecting him from you because you want him to die.
Yep.
So we waved. I had a few tears. And they said, well, lock us up. Because then I want to have a press conference after you lock us up.
Yeah, there you go.
They escorted us out. And I had the media waiting out there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I said what I had to say. But that was the last time I saw the boss.
But his family must have appreciated the fact that you did this.
They were jealous. Junior didn't appreciate nothing. His daughters, Vicky, Peter, he has a son, Peter. Me and him were best friends for I don't know how many years. I love till this day. I love him. Anything I could do for him, I would do for him. He was the most devoted son, and he adored his father. He didn't want nothing from his father, but he lived in Springfield for over 8 months, going on a visit every other day to see his father and love his father.
Wow.
Peter Gotti. He did that. He lived in the best hotel I could find him there. And I used to go down every other weekend to be with Peter. He used to live with a fish tank in the room.
Wow.
That's how he lived. For 8 months, Joe, going to see his father till the day his father died. And I'll never forget, he calls me up. I was not going down that weekend. He says, Louis, you better come down. He says, it doesn't look too good for him. So I flew down private. Mrs. Helmsley gave me her jet. I flew down into Springfield. Peter met me at the airport. I flew down with Quack Quack's son, Johnny Boy Ruggiero, who died of cancer too. Me and Johnny, John loved Johnny Boy Ruggiero. Wow. And he loved Quack Quack too, even though he denies it.
Yeah. Well,
they had a bond that and you got to remember, it was Quack Quack and Jeannie that were paying his gambling debts back in those days.
Yeah.
You know, Jeannie and Angelo used to shake. What do we owe this weekend? But I'll tell you one thing.
It's funny.
That Johnny Boy, that Ruggiero family, they were the most loyal to the Gottis, to John. They were the real deal. They were good. They were good people.
I love these
And
stories, Louis.
yeah,
And I'm
and
kind of glad that you got on now, because look, uh, I'm not doing anything for senior or the family or anything like that. I don't really know them. Like I said, much I do know them, but I'm kind of glad that there's somebody like yourself who was close to him who could say your side of the story and to show how John really was in real life. Besides all the stuff that he ruined the mob and took down this and that, I get a little tired of hearing that too. Like,
Joe,
'cause,
he was the mob. He was
yeah,
the mob. Okay,
yeah.
he didn't ruin nothing. He was the man.
Yeah, and like I said, I get to because a lot of people talk about other people that once they talk about somebody bad when they go to prison or he was no good anyways and all of this nonsense. I'm tired of people saying stuff without really hearing two sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there
So,
was there was there was only one John Gotti.
yeah, I could believe that. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
He helped. He did whatever he could do. Listen, in the life, if you did what you weren't supposed to do, you paid the penalty.
Well,
But is
that's the
it
way it goes. Yeah,
right?
that's
But
right.
as
It's the way it goes.
being honorable, helping his men, helping people, you couldn't find a better guy than him. And you can,
Wow.
I don't care. You want to go ask Tommy Sneakers. You go ask. Well, JoJo's dead now. You go ask anybody. If they want to tell the truth, there
Hmm.
was no John Gotti like that John Gotti.